Hi, I'm Danny. I am a Korean American. I'm a stand-up comedian, a writer, a creator of random things. And currently I live in South Korea, and I've been here for about 4 years now. Born and raised in Los Angeles, went to college there, went to school there. I was born and raised in a wonderful town called East LA, or Boyle Heights to be exact. At the time, very like dangerous gang heavy neighborhood. So they gave me a gang name, and I'm not even in a gang. They call me Sleepy because of the eyes. I was like, yo, that's fucked up. But that's kind of how I grew up. My family was at the time the only Asian family living there. So it was wild times. My parents didn't want me to go to high school there in that area. So we got a permit to go to South Pasadena High School. Had a great time, although I needed some time to adjust because given that I was born and raised in like a predominantly Mexican neighborhood, my accent at the time was very of the area. And so I remember in freshman year, it was like we're reading Romeo and Juliet, and the teacher was like, "Mr. Cho, so what are your thoughts on this?" And I was like, "Oh, let them fucking love, teacher." And all the kids were like, "Why is he talking like that?" And so it took me some time to like kind of get adjusted to South Pasadena, which was a more diverse school. And then from there, I went to UCLA. I started doing stand-up in the summer between high school and college. It was a dare, actually. My friends were like, "Oh, you're funny, but I bet you can't do stand-up." And then when you were like 18-year-old, that's kind of cocky, you're like, "Man, you find the spot, I'll do it." So my friends found an open mic night in the middle of in the hood. And I went in, and I knew it was a bad sign because when you park your car to go do a gig and you hear just big ass dogs barking, you're like, "Oh, this is not good," right? So I get there, and I knew it was the hood, but whatever. I mean, I don't know. I'm familiar with bad areas, so I wasn't really worried. And I was like in my mind just thinking about like material. When the MC brought up my name, there was this woman that goes, "Oh, he Chinese, he ain't funny." And so people start snickering. So I looked at her and I proceeded to make fun of her for the whole set. The crowd at first was shocked because they didn't expect an Asian dude to talk like that to somebody. But then afterwards, they were like, "Oh, this is dope." And then the reaction, the immediate like just audience reaction and energy was a feeling that I was like, "Oh, I love this." After college, I got a job as a consultant. I was a suit and tie guy. I was clean shaved, but also like I would still do stand up at the Laugh Factory. So basically, I would get off work, go to the comedy club in my work clothes, and tell jokes. I'm not the cleanest comic, but then I'm dressed like a consultant. And I did that for 3 years. I would just go back and forth. And one day, another Korean American comedian, a guy named Bobby Lee, he calls me and he goes, "Danny, we need someone fat and weird looking on set." He was on Mad TV, right? And I wasn't even mad. I was just like, "All right, what time do you meet there?" And so he put me on a sketch for Mad TV. And then on a break, he goes, "There's two types of people that make it on TV. Really good looking people and mutants." And he goes, "You, my friend, are a goddamn mutant. You're gold mine, my friend." I was like, "Okay." And so he was one of the people that convinced me to quit my consulting gig to try out stand-up comedy and entertainment business as a whole. Another Korean American that convinced me was a guy by the name of PK, Paul Kim. He was a founder of a talent show many years ago called Collaboration. It still exists. And he was also the host of a show at the Laugh Factory, a weekly show. And so he actually got me in the door. He's like, "You should do this full time. You're good." And so those two people were actually the main people that tried to convince me to quit my stable job. And the other part was I didn't want to regret just keeping this as a hobby. I don't want to be in my 40s with my kids going, "Daddy, isn't he fun?" And I'm like, I messed that fool up. Like that I didn't want that. And so it led me to travel all around the world to do stand-up comedy. 4 years ago, it dropped me off here. The first time I came to Korea was about 10 years ago. So not when I was growing up. I have a friend named Bobby Choi, who's a singer-songwriter, big phony. And he moved, and I was like, wait a minute, that dude don't speak any Korean, right? And I speak better than him. And so I would say worried, but I was like, you know what, I'll go visit Bobby, see how he's doing. And within like 2 weeks of him moving, I came to visit for the first time. And on top of that, like there was like a English speaking comedy scene here, right? Not big, but the people that started it, I contacted them and I was like, hey, you know, like I do stand up, blah, blah, blah. And they actually set up like a small tour around Korea. So I was in Busan, I was in Daegu, Daejeon, just telling jokes and just seeing the country. Although I would say that I didn't see it properly, right? It's unfortunate. I don't want to say unfortunate, but like it's my first time in Korea going to these cities, right? But white people are my guide, right? So I'm like it's like they know stuff, but they don't really know stuff about that area. I remember people looking at me like, why is that white guy giving him a tour when I'm the one that looks Korean? Like, hey, so Danny, this is called daejigukbap, right? Have you ever had daejiguk? I was like, no, man, it's my first time having daejiguk. Yeah, so you need to put some of this 새우젓 in here, right? So this dude's teaching me. The workers are like, what the fuck is going on, right? And so I had a great time seeing the country and a lot of fun times. And then what happened was, not only Korea, but all other parts, a lot of places in Asia, they do English stand-up. Singapore, Hong Kong, Malaysia, Indonesia, Vietnam. And so I would make it so that I would come here to play, party, do maybe a show or two, and then go fly out to one of them countries, do a gig, and come back. I did that for 7 years, right? And then when I decided to move here, I was kind of burnt out, and I knew that it wasn't healthy for me to just be like angry about, you know, like frustrations of why. You know, it's not about like, why am I not famous? It's not that. It was just more like, I know I'm busting my ass. I've done a decent amount of things, but wow, this is just really tough. And so the original plan was to come to Korea for like 2 years, just to kind of refresh my brain, get like new perspective on things, and also like on the weekends or whatever, do tours because you make money, like go to Guam, Saipan, and it's the life to go to Guam and Saipan and make a few bucks, tell some jokes. And so that was the original plan. And then I met a guy that goes, hey, you know, this group of kids they started a underground Korean stand-up scene. I was like, what? That exists? So I went to check out a show, and they were awful, you know? And I realized it's because their model of what stand-up is, it's what they see on YouTube or Netflix or whatever, but it's just through subtitles, right? So there's a lot of things lost in translation, right? And they don't know the techniques of it all. I remember introducing myself. I was like, hey, I'm Danny. I've done stand-up, you know, for X amount of years, and you're not doing this right. Every one of them, I was like, that setup's too long, punchline was weak, you know. As polite Korean people, their mouth said, oh, thank you so much. But their eyes said, who the fuck is this? You know what I mean? Like they had that look. I saw that look and I said, can I perform next week? And so they're like, okay, yeah, absolutely, please come. But it felt kind of like a setup. And so they're all in Korea. There's a thing called 공채 개그맨, right? So every KBS, SBS, you audition and you have to. It's almost like you're officially a comedian, and so they're all 공채 개그맨 that just weren't on TV. And so when I get there the next week, it's filled with 공채 개그맨들, right? And they're all like this in the beginning. And then the thing was, they all said, stand-up's not gonna work in Korea because culturally, that's not what they're into, right? And on top of that, they've seen their 후배s do these shows and not be funny. So they were like, well, let's see what this American got, what this Kyopo got. And I lit that room up, you know? And afterwards, even the 공책 개그men, they were like, oh, okay, this might work actually. And after that night, my plan changed. It wasn't that 2-year experience new shit and get the hell out of here. It was like, you know what? I want to see if I can help establish the scene in Korea where there's a legit way for people to make a living doing just stand-up comedy. That was my goal, to just grow the scene. And that's what I've been doing since then. And because of COVID, I can't even travel anyway. So I've been focusing more on the Korean side of things. What's rewarding really is to see these comedians get better. And on top of that, like I said, it's that chasing the high, right? And it's still there. For me personally, me telling a joke in Korean where it's not my first language, sometimes it hits, sometimes it misses, And on top of that, what's rewarding is that there's a lot of people that say, oh, culturally, it don't, it shouldn't work, right? Like, Korean culture is this way. And I'm like, when people use Korean culture as a barrier for why things would work or what doesn't, I go, you know what the fuck you talking about? Because my parents, they immigrated to the US in 1978. Until the last 10 years, they've never came back, right? So their Korean culture is 1978 Korean culture, right? And that's what they taught me. And when I came 10 years ago for the first time, I thought, oh, I got it. I thought Korea was gonna be just like K-Town back home, but the whole country's gonna be like that, right? I got here, I was like, my parents, that's some old school shit. Like their culture is frozen in time, right? And so to see that means that culture's always gonna evolve, right? So when people just say, hey, culturally, this is not gonna work, I'm like, that's just loser talk. That's just defeatist talk. I tell even the comedians here, I'm like, stop saying that culture shit. I know it exists, but if you use that as the crux, then you're not gonna grow as a comedian, right? My goal isn't to be a celebrity here. You know what I mean? Like, Korean celebrities have so much random stress for relatively the little amount of money they make, right? And so I was like, yo, man, I don't need that. But as long as the scene is where there's a bunch of shows every week, not just in Seoul, but the goal is that there's a show in Busan and Daegu or whatever. All right, you four, go there and do a tour, right? Next week, you four, go. Like I want to have like a rotation of comics that can do well, not just in Seoul, but if we can build there and everywhere else, I think my job is done, so I can go back and go back to the U.S. and be like, hey, Danny Opa's back. I say that for the last 20 years. That's what it's kind of like a drug. You're chasing that high. And so with that being said, like, as you get older and you see a bunch of comics throughout your career, and I've got to open for a lot of big ass people, right? If I go, oh, those are the masters, those are the Mount Rushmore of people, and I go, oh, I'm so far from being there. So now my idea is not to catch them per se, but to be great for myself. Like I obviously as an artist, if you go, oh man, that was a dope joke that I wrote, you're kind of an asshole, right? Like, you kind of always have to be like humble to be like, okay, I could have done better, right? What drives me is to continue to say things that I feel, but hopefully the audience finds the humor in it. My name is Danny Cho, and this is my Korean American story.